The public look at them. We can't help but look at them with awe. And that's what makes a difference and keeps them or leaves them as shining stars, either at workplaces or at places where they communicate. It is also not a crime to be a soft-spoken person in this man-eat-man world. It is important to have a strong mind and not get influenced by anyone. Now, words are what we use for effective communication. Words relate to people to communicate our feelings, our thoughts, influence and persuade people. Most important, we get a control over the people. This helps us to go places, win friends, and influence whomever we meet. I would like to express three statements of three leaders, or you can say renowned people, who explains words as the degree of thoughts. This is as per Chesterfield. He is a orator, a politician, and a diplomat. Baker states words as the pegs to hang our ideas on. He is a religious leader. And to judge an American comedian, he says words are the instruments that makes thoughts possible. Now, one cannot stretch or straighten a sentence without using words. Words are important. And what are these? These words are the interesting, wriggling things of life that brings sense to a sentence. And we know you have $1 million idea, but it will cut no ice if you cannot convince the value of these words to the, you cannot convince the idea through words to the listeners. So our aim in communication should be to make these words palatable enough to go down to an unwilling throat. How are you going to make yourself heard? How are you going to draw the attention of the audience? How are people going to listen to you? And for that, you need to prepare. A good teacher is ever a student or a learner, and there is no better teacher than you or your own soul. So says Swami Vivekananda. It's also said words are like leaves where they most abound, much fruit of sense beneath is rarely found. These are the words of Alexander Pope. So when you want to communicate, when you want to give your expression to the audience or the participants who are listening to you, the narrower the compass of words, the more energetic is the impression. You lower down your verbosity. That means the multitude of words that you use. You reduce on the circumlocution, which means beating around the bush. When you reduce on the words and you go with your ideas direct, then there is a flow of thought and there is less confusion. There is no break. And for this is a skill. You need to pick it, or it is there already. You need to brush it, or you need to improve on it. So this effective communication is a way of conveying a message from the sender to the receiver. It is art as well as a skill developed. And how can you develop this? It is developed through continuous practice and experience. The more you practice, the better. It is said, practice makes a man perfect. I would like to add here and tell you that it is correct practice that makes a man perfect. Now, for this life skills, to make the communication process good or better, you need to have a set of predetermined set of skills. You need to have some skills which are known to you and where you should be focusing on. They include observance, clarity and brevity, listening and understanding. One second, I've forgotten the. Emotional intelligence, self-efficacy, self-confidence, respectfulness, non-verbal communication, selection of the right medium, and these are the points that will be covered in providing feedback. That is also another point which we will understand while going through the presentation. Now, I told you we need a set of skills. Skills needed are, you need your literary skills, which is all about able to read or write. You need language skills, which is all about understanding, reading and writing different languages like Hindi, Malayalam, English, whatever is your language that you want to use. Functional skills are those skills that you're able to use in order to do a particular function, like you wanting to read a map, you want to locate yourself where you are, you want to book a ticket, you want to do some repair jobs at home, you want to go to the bank and fill up a form. All these are functional skills. That is also essential. You look at vocational skills, those are the skills that help you to take up a livelihood. To earn a livelihood, you need certain skills. Sports skills are those skills that help a person to play a game individually or as a team, and to place yourself on the field so that you are a competitor or you are a participant. Cultural skills are those skills that lighten up spirits of people. Either you go on to do drama, acting, singing, dancing. Very many cultural skills are there which will take you or keep you more relaxed. And this final one is life skill. So it is on this skill, life skill, that effective communication finds its place. I hope this is clear. Just trying to draw your attention and helping you understand how important and where effective communication has its place. Now, in life skills, if you see, there is a point of self-awareness. What is the self-awareness? Which is the mother of all skills. You need to be aware of your strengths, your weaknesses, your positives, your likes, your dislikes. Understanding more about yourself is self-awareness. Empathy. As life goes ahead or as life advances, we find that we cannot live in isolation. We need to be connected to people, and the most successful people are the ones whose social interactions or the social intelligence values are higher. Quotients with social quotients are higher. They are the people who are winners of life. You call it the street smart people. Emotional intelligence is also important, but when you look at this empathy portion, this is about how you understand or how you are sensitive to the needs of others, how you see the other person, how you see yourself in another person's boat. I'm sorry, how you see another person in your boat. And that means if a person has a difficulty, how you are able to judge him by considering yourself in that place. Next is the critical thinking, which is all about analyzing information and experiences in an objective manner. Creative thinking is again able to generate new ideas and get over and solve a solution, find a solution to a problem. Problem solving is identifying and then feeling safe or coming to an answer, coming to a solution. Decision making is all what you decide or taking options as to which is the best way of handling a particular situation. Interpersonal relationships are how you relate to other people, how you come in contact with others, and how you stay on an acceptance mode. Effective communication is a portion of life skill that you need to stay as a winner, or to stay, or to progress in life, or to win, to learn, or to educate yourself. Because education is ultimate. Education is a lifelong process. Life skills means skills that you require throughout. Now, coping with emotions is when you lose in a game or when you win in a game, there are emotions that come in. And game winning and losing is not final. Even while you start, there are opportunities where you win a chance, where you miss a pass, where you're caught for a foul, situations like this. So all these emotions are to be dealt with. You need to know how to carry yourself or stay with these shifting emotions that come in. No single emotion can keep you for a day or for a particular hour or through a particular event. It shifts. Along with that, you need to adjust and learn how to hold yourself as per the as per what you're doing. And the last portion of it is how you cope with stress. There are difficulties, there are bad times, there are negative situations, there are negative vibes that keep hitting on us. And the more we face stress and the more we overcome that, the more we decide as to how to overcome this, better it will be the life skill that we have. So now, right from all the skills that you are, I brought you to life skills. And on life skills, I'm showing you how effective communication has its role. Now, if I take you sports people, I understand most of you are the sports lovers or the sports persons. If you have a game, you put students to play a game, they start playing, they organize, they play, they observe the process, because a game has to continue. You need to decide on a winner or a loser, or you ultimately have to play a particular period of time. Now you observe the process. There is a leadership role taken by one member on the team. Okay. And they organize themselves, they interact, they function as a team, a decision is made. In a game situation, you may be in a game of coco, in a game of football, you decide who will be connecting the final thing, or which person to be chased initially. You'll have small pep talks between yourself to decide how the game strategically moves. For this also, on this position also, the kind of body language that you use in communicating is also very important. And the game goes on. Now, the second portion of the stage of the game that you do after you finish is you analyze the game. You understand life skills here, like who has taken the lead, who has brought in maximum points, who has been giving instructions, where did the team start winning, where was the point that there was a turnover, was there any pressure, was there any chances lost, did somebody make a foul, did that hamper the team setting, did somebody bring in a new technique, did somebody try a new technique and miss out on a chance, were there any injured, were there any people who were sad. So all these kind of things, when you look into it, one can find that there are problems, there are patched up situations, there are situations where team members cheer and motivate and break the lag that is already formed in, or there's additional guidance or intelligent moves happening on a game. And the stage 3 of the life skill that you focus when you take a particular game and you ask children to play, on completing the game, children get self-awareness. When the coach explains things to them, they are able to understand who has played the top role, who has made mistakes, who has brought in, who was the contributor. Was there empathy between team members when a mispass was made? Did they try to cheer up? Did they try to motivate the person, or did they blame that person? And is it because of that that the team was withdrawing back? So all these things come in empathy. And critical thinking. Was there any new moves? Was there any strategies planned so as to break the player who was defending strong? Or was there an opponent's tackling done by a single player? Or was it the whole team was moving to stop a particular move? Creative thinking, using of something beyond which the others wouldn't think, or which your teammates also wouldn't expect at the spur of the moment, and then avoiding a foul, violation, or an opportunity and going ahead, capturing a player, excuse me, or using a new technique. All these are variations that come in because of the creative thinking of the player who is involved in the game. And you can also see that there is effective communication. At times, when the ball is behind or the ball is going slow and the teammate is behind, you have to yell, you have to give a connect verbally so that the player reaches up and the player is able to make good of the opportunity that has risen, or your opponent loses a chance and you out of your communication is able to connect and distracted player, like he has had a boot getting loosened, or he's busy with something on the spot of a moment, something alters his attention and you want to get him faster. This communication will help that person to drive, and it can be a winning point, even it can be in a winning situation. Now for all this, an interpersonal relationship is required, and that grows with being friends, and this is only possible if your communication is good. Critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making are requirements that need to be done immediately when a game is over. There is portions of stress coming up on a game. There are rules followed. There are fouls that come in, and certain fouls and things would be discussed so that they are able to avoid it. They are able to keep away from it, or they are better instructed intelligently by the coach, or during a game by the captain, or whoever is more experienced or is at an advantage. And finally, it is all about emotions also, because winning or losing the game is ultimatum, but small portions of winning a pass, capturing an opponent, or overcoming a defender are small strategies that gives in stress, and you need to learn to cope up with all this stress. So ultimately, when I bring this life skills about all the 10 points that reflect on a game, as you analyze during the game at different portions during the game, after the game, and you discuss it with them, you understand that their life skill portions are being improved. Now, on this, there is effective communication, which I have stressed, that I would like to explain in terms of a story to you. Once there was a hunter, and he always saw a group of pigeons feeding grains in the farm. So what he decided was he wanted those pigeons. So he served grains under a net and placed the net there so that he was in a position to pick the pigeons. Now the hunter has prepared a catch, and the pigeons, as usual, have come in daily, feeding on the grains that was available in the farm. And as they started picking up the grains, they understood that they were caught in the net. Now, this group of pigeons who were there definitely had a leader, and the leader explained that they were caught. So immediately there was stress, there was fret amongst them, and the leader announced to the pigeons that there should be a way out to move out and save themselves. But what is the way out? They started thinking, but they could not find. What they did was they started pulling at each end of the net wherever they were located or they were stationed, and ultimately the net would not give away because that was a strong net which was critically analyzed by the hunter to ensure that he got the set of pigeons that were available there. Now, this fear of being unable to get free or save their lives started bothering them. Alongside, normally when a leader is there, the decision is taken by the leader. Everybody looks at the leader. It is often a format followed that the leader or the person who is at the top or the helm of affairs is the best. Not necessary. We might find people below doing better, having better versions of thought, and at times it is essential to listen to these little ones also who will give more intelligent views. What I would like to say is younger generation is always smarter. Even when I sit as a speaker for you, you must be well aware and you must be rest assured that you are going to be a better speaker than me any day. This is because it is God's gift to all of us. He has made mankind in his own image and likeness, and he has prepared us for our spaces. So believe in yourself and develop that urge in you to practice and experience goodness, or the good attitude, or the way you wish to improve each one of you as a person first, and then as a teacher or as an educator. Now, when the young pigeon had a view that the young pigeon's idea was that all the birds together would station wherever they are and start flying from wherever portion they are, which means that they could lift the net as per their positions they held, and they would all fly away from their hunter, breaking free from the trap. So the trap is also going along with them. So the leader definitely will not be in agreement because there's an ego affecting there, but he knew it was going to be difficult and he would also be trapped. So he decided to the invitation or to the suggestion that the young pigeon offered. So the leader agreed, and he announced, fly off or take off. And all of them took the net in their own respective positions they were. When they lifted the wings, automatically the portion that was tied to them was also moving along, and the hunter had to be sad watching all of them move away. Now, on this, the skills used are self-awareness. Every bird on that hunter's block understood there was trouble and there was a hard way of finding a way out. Now, the creativity of the hunter made him place the food grains and the trap or the net there to catch. But the creative thinking of the pigeons was the solution to flying out. They flew together. Critical thinking here was they realized that they should not fly individually, but they should fly. They should not fly. They should not waste time trying to break the net, but they should fly individually, not depend on each other. And decision making was they should all go as a group, stay as a group. And effective communication. You see how effective was the young pigeon there? Though the leader was there, he was the decision maker. Young pigeon knew there would be fear, but he voiced it. But that voice was good enough and strong enough for the members to realize that there is sense. So using the young pigeon's voice or the words or the intelligence or the solution or the decision that he or she, that little pigeon took, have helped them effectively to fly away from difficulty or to make a chance score or to get a reward or to get a reward or to be on a winning side. Now, the interpersonal relationship, the suggestions made by the leader and the acceptance of the leader to the young pigeon, or the fear that the little pigeon overcome in expressing the thoughts to the leader, or the break of ego or the lowering down of the ego of the leader to accept the young pigeon. These are things that we understand in understanding life skills. So this is a little story where you can realize how effective. Hadn't the young pigeon uttered this, they would have all been trapped and they would have all been killed. But the the time that the little bird announced that it is good, they flew away individually rather than fight and try to break the net, saved all of them. So is effective communication. Now, if you look at the characteristics. Now, what is effective communication about? There are 7 characteristics which are all spelled with the C's. They are clarity, correctness, conciseness, courtesy, concreteness, consideration, and compliance. And completeness. Now, what is clarity about? It is soul of the message. The more you are accurate of your thoughts or your ideas that you want to express, you be clear, and the idea reaches the listener. What you want to say, when you want to say, and using simple, clear words help you reach at clarity. And this also avoids unnecessary information. Correctness is being correct on what you want to say. It could either be in terms of accuracy of expressing what you wanted and what's coming out, the mistakes that are avoided, the misspelled words, or the right level of language. This is all about correctness, which I think these points are simple, but I would just explain each of these. Conciseness is how brief and how concrete you are, how you are able to save time for the listener as well as for yourself, and avoiding repeated information or irrelevant matter or repetitions. All these lead to conciseness, to be clear and apt to the point. Courtesy. Courtesy is all about being polite. Everyone gains where courtesy reigns, which means if you're polite, you use words like thank you, please, sorry. These are things which everybody likes, and they have a courteous note and tone, and they leave a lasting impression on the minds of the listener. Now, goodwill, achievement, sincerity, respect, all these goes a long way in being courteous. Higher the achievements, the more courteous the person becomes. They become more thoughtful and appreciative of the receiver's point of view, and avoid language or discriminatory usages, like when it comes to gender. Being a female, I shouldn't be praising only the girls, or if I am a Malayali, it's not that I would only praise the Malayalis. So you should not have any discrimination over the age or the sex or the gender or the cultural differences that come in. Always be courteous to the listener. Concreteness. Concreteness is how specific and how meaningful and clear you are, how complete, how authentic you are, how the message relates to what you want to express. There should be no vague or no general ideas. Whatever you want to express, or explain, or speak, use facts and figures. Keep it clear. If there are words or if there is a voice that is used, ensure that the voice is clear, loud, and bold, and everybody understands what you want to say or what you're trying to speak. Next is consideration, putting yourself in the place of the receiver. You should understand that it is not only for you to be speaking, you should also understand or imagine or see whether the listeners are able to catch up or cope up with your speaking. So the kind of language you use, the kind of spacing you give between words, the kind of approaches you make to deliver the words that is with you counts, which means in simple words is your it's all about your attitude. And if you are really interested and you ensure that these students or the participants should be benefited, you always focus on you should ensure that you focus it on you instead of we. See it from the receiver's point of view. Be sure of the benefits of the receiver. How much will that person be benefited? Are there any problems to the receiver through your expressions? Is there a positive and an optimistic message left behind after you have had your presentation, or after you listen to session. The last one is completeness. What is completeness? Completeness is all about the what, when, where, who, why. The 5 W's and the how. If you are able to answer all the W's and the how to a message or to a interaction where you are trying to deliver your thoughts or your feelings, if this is done, you know that there is completeness. Avoid incomplete messages. Like you cannot be careless in the views that you give. You cannot be negligent on the approaches that you take. Always ensure that these 7 points of being clear, being concise, being correct, being courteous, being concrete, having consideration for the others, and having completeness are taken into account. And this is what contributes to characteristics of good or effective communication. Next is communication strategy. Now, there is always a plan to communicate to reach the audience, and you should understand to whom you're talking, why you're talking to them, how and when to talk, and what form of communication you should use so that you are able to interact or let the person understand the purpose of your communication. You should definitely have a purpose or a clear format or a planning done to reveal or to get to the receiver what you're talking or what you're wanting them to hear. And how should it be communicated? What are the stages that you should follow? How should it happen? When should what follow? All these things you should keep in mind, and you should take responsibility for the strategy that you use. Now, there are different kinds of strategies that you can use. It can either be verbal, non-verbal, written, or visual forms of communication. But for all this, on a general base, if you look, you should always think before you speak, because words once spoken and eggs once broken cannot be mended again. So, similarly, they say, look before you leave. Now, whatever you want to communicate, always allow yourself some time to think before you talk, and make space for the right moment. Talk in person. Not everything can be discussed generally. Sometimes you need to reach a person to convey the message, to keep him proper or to get him better. Respect the other person's point of view. Sometimes you convey your message, there is a need for the listener to give or suggest or give you a feedback or tell you what it's all about. So it is very essential to respect the other person's point of view. And you also need to acknowledge your share in causing the problem. Not always communication is positive, with positive vibes, encouraging the person. Sometimes it leads to stress or it leads to frustration. You can reduce that by convincing the person how harmful the situation is, and that depends upon the kind of reach you, the kind of approach you make to the person to dissolve the difficulty that is causing the problem. Keep your heart connect. If you allow your heart to work, things get better, because always carry your brain along with your heart. This is important. Now, how to develop effective working relationships? You win hearts, you win friends, you win people through communication. And the more the communication, better is the relationship that you can hold on. Be consistent and trustworthy. Always be honest to what you do, and be a reliable person. Avoid gossip. Avoid telling or discussing a person who's not there, or avoid topics which are unfair. You should know what is right and what is wrong. support and appreciate team members, fellow team members. It is not only that you are the person who's the sole star or the sole dependent person. Sometimes the support of the others helps you to win more. So you need to, excuse, my battery is down. There's no balance. Excuse, I'm so sorry. The supply is down. All of you. I'm so sorry. The system was connected and the supply wasn't there. So the system battery was down and I needed time. I'm so sorry for this disturbance or this interruption that I've caused. I hope you will pardon me. Now, I was telling you about how to develop effective working relationships. Now, to develop relationships, ultimately, we all cannot live or work in isolation. We need people who work with us and help build us. It is the society that is the maker of man. You cannot simply build yourself. for which communication is important, and you need to be consistent, you need to be reliable, you need to be honest, you need to be trustworthy, you should be avoiding gossips, avoid discussing a second person, appreciate and support fellow members. Sometimes you may not be the top scorer in the game, but you can assist or give passes and enable another person to be a top scorer. But that doesn't mean that you have lost and that person gains an advantage. Definitely, your role is to give a pass, and the other person will be a shooter. Suppose in the game of basketball, a more prominent or strong player will be at an advantage of getting or collecting passes. If he is definitely taller than the others, he gets the advantage. Make use of that and help develop that team spirit, because the one who gives, it is said, mercy is twice blessed. It blesses the receiver and the giver. So definitely you're not going to be a loser even when the other person is at an advantage as the top scorer or star. Everybody understands who the feeder was. So be positive with whatever actions you take. Support, appreciate team members. Keep yourself positive in all these interactions and know your guidelines. You should know what strategies or what formats you will follow to help yourself to be a winner, or to be in gratitude, or for another person to think about you after the event is over, and deliver quality time on work. Whatever time you spend in building a relationship, it should be good. Never to look back and feel sad or think that it was a waste of time. And for which the last point is respect others. Gratitude and respect are the two pillars of success. As far as I have understood, as far as if you also look back, you would understand that nothing beyond being a successful person, it is these two factors. Being grateful every minute for the life you have, for the breath you take, for all what you have learned, for all the people who have come into your life. If you're gratitude, definitely you're going to be a successful person, scaling high in the ladder of success. And you respect the person ahead of you, respect the person who's coming to you. If these two things are done, be sure that you will definitely be developing good relationships or effective relationships, which is all about building yourself ultimately. Now, there are different mechanisms by which you can communicate. It's verbal, which is either spoken or written. You have non-verbal, where there are actions, the facial expressions, gestures, the tone or the loudness of the voice that you use, the body language, the eye gaze, touch, appearance, and personal symbols or artifacts of how you collect or connect or derive attention from others. They can be visual mechanisms, they can be written mechanisms of communicating, they can even be listening mechanisms of communication. Now, what are the different portions of the communication styles that you use? You have the passive style, where you keep yourself calm and you avoid confrontation. There is no fight, there is no argument, and there is no saying no. You are just passive. You are there, but you have no arguments on the communication that you make. An aggressive style is where you get agitated, you want to fight back, you want to say no, you want to say prove that this is right, that is wrong, and you say that is your fault, it is my fault, it is that, where you are loud and you want, or you can see there is emotion which is going beyond what is demanded. There is a dominating, criticizing, or a critical reaction in that approach. Now, passive aggressive is a portion of it is you're silent, but you're trying to also explain that you didn't like it, and you use both options. And an assertive one is where you are open and you ensure that things go the way you want. You make sure that they do the way you want. That is an assertive. But there is no one single style which will prove right. You can say a mixture of all this is definitely good, and to be an assertive, to use an assertive style, take ownership of the actions or the messages that you want to convey. Have eye contact, be into the eyes of the person to whom you are talking. When you have to say no, voice your needs. What you need has to be expressed, and your desires also, and what has to be in confidence should be held on to. The confidentiality should also be held to. Now, how will you master the interpersonal skills? Now, when you want to develop relations between others, you definitely need to improve upon your interpersonal skills also. For that, like I told you initially, develop on your speaking. You have to think before you speak, and you listen as much as you talk. You contribute to being yourself. Don't disturb or get deviated from what you have to say. You shouldn't be disagreeing softly, which means you shouldn't be you shouldn't be carrying a no within yourself, or you shouldn't be exposing something else where internally you are at a doubt. And keep away your pride. Work as a team. Pay attention to body language. Body language explains quite a lot. There are certain portions which explain disinterestedness. There are certain gestures that shows that the participant is interested in your talking, or your in receiving messages that you have, or use the golden rule, that is, treat others the way you want to be treated. That is also important. And always be to the point, get to the point, and communicate openly. Do not have any hidden formats, or whatever you want to say should be expressed and to the point. Now, there is active questioning and effective questioning. What is active questioning? Active questioning is a powerful practice. It helps you to be a catalyst where you allow development, you are able to influence, and there is problem resolution. You are able to actively take up the question, answer them, and there is inspiration in them, and they are solved, or they are reduced on their queries that they have on you. Effective questioning is you give out a topic and they are able to prepare themselves for extensive questioning. Now, they could be a wide variety of questions with clarity, with precision, giving them time to question, getting back to them if they have doubts, repeating it again if they are unable to get to you, checking for more, you questioning them so that you understand whether they have understood you, and then the pepper or the quick swifts, that is, you pose a lot of questions to them and try to get answers. It's like the rapid fire and stuff where you question them, and if you gauge their answers and you understand that they have followed you, then that is also one way of preparing yourself for understanding that the communication that you have made is right. Now, in active listening, it is all about giving full attention to a person, whatever be his technique that is involved, verbal or non-verbal. And listening is you are allowing your neurons of the brain to follow similars to the neurons activated by the speaker. Now, when the speaker and the receiver has a flow of thoughts together, then it is active listening. Or you can say there's a conscious activity and there is much attention there, which permeates on the discussion or on the message or on the communication that comes over. Now, what are the issues or the techniques that you need to develop on interpersonal issues? You can build trust. Children or the participants will have a rapport with you. They will demonstrate concern. They will be slow. They will clear their understanding on the thoughts that you've expressed. They will be non-verbal clues, like sometimes you talk to them, they will be nodding their head, or they will be connecting, they will be leaning forward. Somebody who pushes the back to the, or their body to the back of the chair, shows their disinterestedness. Somebody who's leaning forward has eagerness to listen to you. So these non-verbal clues are also techniques by which you can judge whether the interpersonal relationship or the rapport that you're trying to provide with your communication is built. And then finally, having affirmations, like when you talk to them and they are able to say that they are able to understand you, the affirmations that they give you also builds, or you're able to understand the relationship that you have built on the communication that you have projected. The next is few points to build in you so that there is this relationship getting stronger. Hold on to positive thoughts whenever you talk or you lead a session. Straighten out with positive vibes. Never take on a negative note. Control your emotions. They might be failures, they might be false. Resilience. Bounce back onto the energy that you have. Hold on to the emotional, the spiritual strength above. All that can keep you calm, passive. Acknowledge expertise. You might need help or support from others. No man works in isolation or leads or checks on a success story all alone to himself. It is the support and generosity of others, or the kindness that he has in connecting to others to help build him. So the expertise of others should be acknowledged, should be understood, should be absorbed. Show your real interest in the person with whom you are. Find goodness, see the goodness in others. All this will help you develop interpersonal relations. Be an active listener, be assertive, and last, practice empathy. See yourself in the boots of others. And there are mechanisms to get feedback, which is a positive and a negative. Positive feedback is when you think you have done good, and the response that you get is also positive and you are strengthened. When it is not always essential that you should be always picking a positive feedback. Sometimes negative feedbacks flow in, and your strength or your magnanimity in accepting the truths that you have fallen or you need to improve, all that will also take on you and help you grace or improve upon your own structure you're building, because ultimately no man leads a success story without failures. Success has less stories or less lessons explained rather than failures. Failures give you much more stepping stones to success, because they teach you what exactly is the requirement on you and how you should be able to help yourself. Now, once you have understood what communication is, how to connect, what are the characteristics, what are the ways by which you help yourself to develop or to connect to others, how you can improve on yourself, how you can improve others and understand whether the other end is at the receiving end, there are also difficulties, there are also obstructions or barriers in communication. And the three main barriers which are seen is barriers involving words. Now, what are these words? Sometimes I might be talking in a language or in a slang or in an accent which is not feasible to you. You are unable to catch on the words that I speak. Sometimes you see the handwriting. Certain words or alphabets are not legible, especially of doctors, but they excuse me, but the medical practitioners or um, the medical stores, the pharmaceutical persons or the pharmacists, they are able to identify the germs or the letters that flow because they are of their expertise. They're used to those things. Similarly, in words, language is a barrier. I speak in a language that you don't follow. I speak in Malayalam. All of you are well versed with English, and only the Malayali chaps who are there across this as audience are able to listen to me and understand. So, if the language is not right between between the sender and the receiver, that is one aspect. Second is disorganized message. If your message is not properly organized, you have not put in planning and on your presentation, and it goes haywire, there is a chance that the communication will not be effective. Too much of words. I told you verbosity, too many words which are not up to the level or standard of the receiver, or using abstract words which can lead to different connotations. All these can remain as barriers. And information overload. What is information overload? You're taking off too much. You're taking too much of talking, or you're speaking too much, and that is, the brain can hold only a certain portion of your lecture. Maybe the 20 minutes is what an ideal brain can take up, but we tend to talk more, we expect you to listen more, because as the brain advances, as you keep repeating yourself, as you keep practicing yourself, efficiency of better output, the strength of the brain also increases. Though it is at 20 minutes, you will be able to capture on that for more and allow your brain to settle and get better. The next portion of it is the background that remains as a barrier. What is the background that comes in as a barrier? You find the culture differences. Some people in certain spaces are. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I was shown that there is like a disturbance. Internet is. The connection is slow. Okay. Now, the area that you belong, certain spaces, certain states, certain traditions, certain ages, certain genders have differences in the attitudes or the kind of background people have are different to certain areas or certain groups of people. Then the other difference that you can see, or the barrier that exists, is the geographical spaces or the places that you come from. Then the lack of common experience. Some are exposed to certain communication styles or certain kind of presentation. Some have not gone through, they don't know. So all these result or affect their communication. And the final point is jumping to conclusion. When you listen, you jump over. Even before you allow it to settle on you, you decide it's this way, which is misleading, misunderstood. So these are also communication barriers. And the last one is the physical barriers. Physical barriers is one barrier is between you and me. Now, the distance can bring in difficulties like you are unable to see how I present my, before you as a presenter. The non-verbal portions of me or the gestures that I put over, most of it is blocked. It is just this portion that you follow me. The body language, how much of interest I have, even the sender and the receiver is connected. Seeing the receiver, the spirit, the morale, or the tempo of the person who's communicating can be enhanced. So these are barriers, physical barriers, you can say. They are the physical distance in the first sense. The second portion of it is the noise, the interruptions, the difficulties that come in, the maybe the on-off mode of the system here, the supply that has interrupted, the people who had to come and connect and help. All these are disturbances which have come in, and definitely which has lowered the standard. And the last one is a physiological barrier. Physiological barrier is, now I speak in a way you are able to hear my words, you are able to judge the essence of what I am trying to talk, and you are able to assimilate because your understanding is also so. But what if I were a person stammering? I'm unable to get at the words. I start wobbling, or I start having difficulty in giving out my words. Not necessarily everybody who's efficient or who's prominent is a speaker. Right from small ages, you find children learning to speak, and on this there are ailments, there are difficulties, there are disabilities, there are differentially abled, you can say. They have listening problems, they have seeing problems, they have eye problems, viewing problems. All these issues are connected to people, and it is not that we don't connect to them, we connect to them, and they definitely are barriers of communication. Like the mode that people use for those who are deaf, you have seen the symbol language that they use. For those who are different kind, like when it comes to different accents, when you listen to English speaking people, it's difficult to judge on what they have said. It's not easy to catch up on all what they say. So the speed, the rhythm, the type, the kind, the flow, or the modulation of the voice is affected. But physiological barriers are definitely the physical strengths or the health conditions or the disabilities of people that is being expressed. And I would like to end my presentation by saying that everything has to come to an end. And if you think you have succeeded, or success is the catchword finally, it is not going to be final. And if you think it is failure that has approached you, remember, failure is not fatal. You're not going to die then. You will continue. But it is the courage to continue that counts. Whatever is the courage, that is what counts. These are the words of Winston Churchill. Thank you for listening to me. I guess it was at this point of time that my audio was made clear, because I can hear my words only now. I think quite a long period of time, these words that I was speaking was not even audible to me. I guess it is the technical issue. I do not know whether my communication made any sense to you or whether it went across. I would be happy if you would communicate to me back and let me know whether the entire process of my communication was at your reach. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Wonderful presentations, madam, from your side. What we expected, we got it finally. There are some questions, madam. I request you to please answer these questions.
Yes.
Madam, one is that in the classes, there are different types of students. Like arrogant students will be there, or some of them are very innocent students. So how to tackle with them with this communicative skills? Like some students, they hurt very fast when we when we use the same sound of a frequency. Some may get hurt or some may not get hurt. So in that state, can you advise how to tackle in the classes?
For these approaches, take them into your confidence and tackle them at your personal level. You cannot have the passive, the aggressive, passive aggressive, or the assertive style. Blend of all is required. First, win the confidence. Are they willing to improve? Because there is no point in pouring water on a duck's back. These days, man eat man is a situation. Now, in classroom situations, there are good teachers who focus on being human. When I profess in a classroom, my ultimatum before I teach is learn to be a good person rather than crumbling or grasping or getting the material or the subject that you need to write on paper. You may write on paper, you may win an award, you might be the best student of the college. But ultimately, if you cannot be a good, honest person, you're politically submerged with people who do loitering or who loiter the places or who destroy the society. That is what is happening today. You find power and influence winning everything. I wouldn't want my students to win power and influence people. I would say, close yourself ultimately for the last day of your life, remaining a good person, a human person. There is no strategy as such which you can use to an aggressive child or to a good child. Everybody is born of parents. A mother delivers a child. And we need to understand that the child has a phase that he needs to carry in life, for which you develop a relationship with the child, ensure that the person has confidence on you. To break relations, to break the strength of a teacher, there are many institutions, especially professional colleges, I know, where there are fights, there are wars, there are legal issues, there are teachers forming groups to destroy teachers, ego problems, issues. So these are all sets of small formats which we help in nurturing students. Ultimately, if we make them realize that to be a good person is more important than your degrees, your awards, or your personal spaces that you occupy, or the monetary benefits that you draw, I think the world will be a better place. I'm sorry I had to focus this and explain it so elaborately, because I see it on a daily format with those students who come to me for counseling. So they are pacified, they are softened by what I say. Ultimately, they cannot win an institution, they cannot win hearts of an aggressive teacher, or they cannot win the aggressive, good teacher cannot win the heart of an aggressive student if that student is politically forced, pressed by a group of politically or committed people who want that person to flop. Socially committed quotient. Ultimately, a man grows with all the quotients that he has: the intelligence quotient, the emotional quotient, social quotient, curiosity quotient, decency quotient, passion quotient, and have your self-satisfying quotient also ultimately as a sum up. That will help you. I feel I have answered, and I let my thoughts flow. My whatever I wanted to or I intended to say has reached you. I hope the person who has asked the question is at least partially benefited by what I intended to say. Please connect if you have not. I think my phone number would be available, and if you still think I haven't haven't opened up your doubt, please get back to me. I can give you more situations and more strategies by which you can be better.
Thank you, madam. Expected answer. Madam, one more question is there. Concern to academics. In classes, most of we try to depend on only one sort of teaching. So students
I'm
are,
sorry, I haven't got that portion of the
yeah, concerned
sentence.
to academics, madam.
Yes,
In the class, teachers usually we try to depend on one sort of teaching method, but
teachers try to depend on.
only one sort of methods uh, to teach the students. But in the class, there are different types of students are there. Maybe some they try to learn it by seeing, or some they try it by reading or writing. In such conditions, how a teacher can handle the teaching classes, especially when
Okay.
different students are there in our
Yes.
class, so
Okay.
within a different abilities.
Okay. Good. I'm happy I am posted with the second question also. This clearly what brings to my mind from the sender is there are individual differences. There are students with different potentials in a classroom. And how does the teacher defend his or her stance in reaching out or conveying the type of teaching to the students? Not all can pick it together. Not all will be good at relating the matter back. Their memory, their strokes of grasping, their comprehension skills, things would vary. This is all true because all five fingers are not the same. But to me, as a teacher of 30 years of experience, what I feel is at the end of every session, you stop, you break, you give a time for the students to bring out their queries, to bring out their doubts. Like you intelligent chaps made it a point to question me. So I'm sure that you have followed me. I'm motivated that at least two students have listened to me. Good enough. If one person is able to question me back, I understand that this level of intelligence was in flow with my thoughts that I wanted to bring it out to you in the form of words. Now, questioning sessions at the end of every session, capturing or covering the entire boundary of what you're trying to discuss with the student is the best way through the medium of instruction. While in a classroom, if you observe these students, their facial expressions, the eye contacts, you are able to read the neuron stimulation of what is happening at your level to the levels of the student. Their distractedness on the session is clearly and formidably available in gestures, and this is the clarity of what a teacher gets in observing her students. An observing teacher, an observant teacher is the highlight in teaching. If he or she is alert, cautious, and clear about delivering a message and ensuring that these students get it, they reach at it. Some cannot, but that doesn't mean you push them out. Call them back at your free hours, talk to them over phone, give them a free space and time so that they connect back to you. I can give you an instance of a child who was under my teaching care, and he was failing all the semesters. The minute I entered his classroom teaching him, he was remaining or he continued to be the same kind of person. He continued for the rest of the semesters that he had finished. Now, the day before my examination, he calls me on phone and tells me, ma'am, I know you're too good at the language, you're too good at the topic, you are a specialist on that, but I haven't followed anything. So I asked him, what was your issue? He says, I do not have the language competency. I said, is that all your care? Have you written all your supplementary papers and have you finished clearing it? Yes. I said, okay, I will take it on a one-on-one session. I used to spend nights with him teaching 3 hours. And I would tell him at the end of every session, if you don't bring out a result for the teaching that I give you, you're going to be stopped or you'll be cut away from my source of extra care that I give you in terms of teaching. Now, what this boy did was the ultimatum that I saw on the first session that I gave him an exam and made him to write. He was just listening and he was the topper of the class. And believe me, he went out of the college with 79% marks on his academics, which is a big achievement. But to my heart, there is a lot of pain over the support that I gave him in raising him Even without a supplementary, he completed the rest of his semesters. And today I see him seated abroad internationally at some space, earning something closer to 2 or 4 lakhs. I'm not sure. He's earning twice what I earn. And I'm so glad. He's half my age. He has communicated at the right time. He has missed out on sessions because he was distracted with issues. He was like not able to get the attention of the teacher. And I would also help him with other subjects. And that was how his score had come up. So these are little kindness that we can show. Kindness is never a waste. The more kind you are, God will serve extra to you through different measures. Even if you don't receive it, it will be people in your family or people in your college or the institution that is encouraged or will be bettered. Students are the pillars of the institution. If we care for them, for their doubts, for their strengths, so that we are able to lift them and stand as a pillar somewhere, definitely we are bettered. The institution is bettered. And that's the reason why SAI LNCP Trivandrum is rated as one of the best during COVID times. We are fast progressing. This is because of the vision and commitment of the leader or the person who guides the institution. We follow him as a group, teamwork, team spirit, and acceptance and the support, genuine concern and interest we have for each other to work as a group, to work as a team, to work as an organization. So the organization is lifted. Ultimately, every student in a class is individually assessed for the strengths and weaknesses. You have the self-awareness component. Allow that person also to identify whether he or she has understood the topic. If she doesn't know, if he doesn't know, he gets back to you. That's how you help. This is, again, the life skill that you need. I hope excuse me. I hope I have done justice again to the third question that has come in.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, madam. It's a concluding time. So further questions, yeah, most of things.
I'm happy taking the feed till 4:30. 5 more minutes.
Madam,
I think by questions, if you allow subjects to trigger correct questions,
yes,
that means their intelligence is triggered, which means I have imposed a message to them, by which they are sharpening their IQ.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
so I'm glad about it. I'm happy for few more questions. 5 minutes is always there on the clock, I guess.
Yeah, madam.
And if I should continue, if I should stop, I'm grateful. I'm thankful.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm ready to wind up too.
Questions were very limited, madam. So.
So can I have the last word before I say thank you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So the last sentence or the last caption that I want to tell you is, I want you to take a take-home activity. Ever be sweet, ever be soft, and ever be composed. Always carry a filter in your mouth, because such personalities take away all the applause. May you all be treated well and be given applause for your messages that you deliver right from the moment you leave me. Always be grateful and stay in gratitude and respect to whomever you meet. May you be a bright person to the person ahead of you. May that little spark in you brighten and shine you up, so that the person who's trying to follow you or trying to see you gets some light out of you. Like the lighthouse beacon, I want each of you to emit light to far off distances, so that the rocks, the troubles ahead of you are your watchwords, or you are aware and you keep away from difficulties. May you all have a smooth, flowing, safe life ahead, and I wish I could meet all of you straight to straight, because on a virtual platform, I don't know what the expressions you guys have for me. Anyway, I thank Almighty for giving me this opportunity. I thank the organizers and especially the my leader, Dr. G. Kishore, Principal and Regional Director, who has again offered me a chance to speak. Thank you so much, and I wish all of you pray for him so that this organization, which is contributing so much, stands tall in future too. Thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Sanjay Patel.
Thank you, madam. Your presence is, first of all, it's most valuable for us. At the end, in conclusion, what I want to say is that for the success, with greater knowledge, we need a good, effective communication also. So that is a best equipment for us to share our knowledge and experience with the students. With this, I like to thank all the participants, and I like to thank our respected Lieutenant Lavi Deborah Cruz, Associate Professor, Madam, as a resource person. She is here. On behalf of our institution, Sai LNCP, E-Pathshala, and on behalf of all the participants, I thank you for your valuable presence, Madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Signing off. Good luck for future presentations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.